Hello there and welcome back to my channel, Rover Turbo. In this video we're going to be doing some more work on the Audi A4 convertible. It's been a while but I've been busy, so in this video I hope to get the roof working and everything all up and ready for an MOT to get it sold. So follow it along with me and let's see how we do. Right, the replacement pumps here from eBay. So I'm going to take the old pump out, put the new pump in, connect it up. I've got some hydraulic fluid, obviously we'll fill it up and then we'll try the roof and see what happens. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of air, that I'm going to have to cycle it and maybe keep topping this up. I'll also check the O-rings on all of the connectors just to make sure none are damaged. Right, well that was quite easy. That's the old one, that's the new one. There's just two 8mm securing bolts and this whole plate comes off, and these, you can't get these hydraulics muddled up because they don't come out of the plate, so you just need to make sure they're all actually in the corresponding holes, and when you screw this down they all pop in. I've undone that and filled it up to the max mark using just this central hydraulic sort of standard fluid. So we're going to give it a go. I'm not 100% sure it's going to work, but right, I'm going to start it up just to save the battery. Still flashing that. I might have to clear the codes. We'll see. Okay, well it's gone that far. Go back down. Go back up. Right, well let's clear the codes. So it'll just be my luck that the pump will be buggered, the replacement pump I've bought. Now it's sort of just stuck. It's just stuck in that position. Why has it done that? And this is blown a fuse. Well, I've been battling with this for a while. It turns out that one of the main fuse underneath the dashboard for the pump, the 40 amp fuse, had blown. So I managed to get it working, and I thought, I know that the system needs a bit, a bit of fluid in it because the air is displacing. I'm thinking I'm putting a lot of fluid in this, and then this hatch isn't opening. So I've just manually lifted it up. The roof's kind of in halfway position, and I think I might have found my problem. So I'm just trying to stop getting attacked here. So I'm assuming this is coming out from, that's not very helpful, is it? It's coming out from somewhere down there, so either the RAM or the connector or something. So I'm going to need to look into that a little bit more. Right, so now I'm in a position that this part of the roof has come back down, sort of, it's slowly settled back down on its own. I now can't lift it up, it's solid, so the roof is now stuck in this position and it won't open or close or do anything. The leak. So there's a split in the hose. So obviously I need a new hose to go down there and obviously to the pump. So I've got the roof back up again. Basically I waited a few minutes and then just the pressure just depleted in the system, and I could just manually lift the roof up and then I could just push that back down again. So yeah, I need to look for one of those hoses. So everything's all back together now. I obviously need to find a fuse because I stole another fuse out of something else. I don't know what that was. Right, I can't remember exactly where I got to on this Audi. The roof now, because we had a leaking hydraulic line, so I've replaced that. The roof now comes up, this piece comes up, and the luggage compartment comes up, but then nothing happens. And there's a code in the ECU, in the roof ECU, for luggage compartment implausible signal, something like that. So It turns out that the two different connectors were on two different plugs. So there's only one brown wire and it is on this plug. And there's only one purple with a yellow stripe and it's on this one. So what I've done is I have jammed a zip tie into the switch so it's permanently making a contact to say it's on, and we're not getting any connection there at all. So it does look like we have got a break in the wire. I suppose what I could do, if I join those two together temporarily and then look at the live diagnostics, and if the lid says it's closed, then that's double confirmation that it's definitely a broken wire. Right, so what I've done is I've made sure these are the correct orientation, I've plugged them back in, and I've still got my multimeter connected. So I've got it switched to the amp function, and I've swapped over my red lead from the normal into the amp section. And basically what that does is it creates a permanent connection through the loop. So now the diagnostic should say that the lid is open. I'm getting myself totally tied up in knots here because I'll try and explain without boring everyone to tears. The wire in the back is definitely a thin brown wire, and the other wire is definitely the purple with the yellow stripe on it. There's only two I can see here with a brown wire and a purple wire with a yellow wire on it, a cable colour. Now if I disconnect, I've cut these and disconnected them, it won't work. It says there's an electrical fault, which is bizarre because the switch is either open circuit or connected. So why would it not work if it's open circuit when it works when it's open circuit? Do you see what I'm saying? So connecting these two together, the roof works. If you disconnect them both, the roof does not work. It doesn't even try and work, it just says fault. Now if I disconnect the brown wire and leave this wire connected, the roof doesn't work. If I connect this brown wire and disconnect the purple wire, the roof works. Well, it works to the point that it was working before. So it would make me believe that this brown wire here isn't the brown wire that goes back to because what I've done is I've unplugged the sensor completely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the multimeter between this wire and where I've stripped it in the boot to make sure that is the correct cable. Hooray! Jesus. Now I need to lay down. Right, I've got the Audi down the workshop. It's making a bit of a clattering noise, and I've noticed that the tensioner, this thing here, is flapping about when the engine's running, and also, you know, when you turn the power steering and stuff like that. So apparently it's quite a common problem, these tensioners, and also the belt looks like it's on its way out. So I've got a replacement tensioner and a replacement belt. So these are quite similar on a lot of the Audi, Volkswagen cars. I believe they're the same on the sort of the 2-litre Golfs. They're the other way around. So I'm going to get this cover off. I'm going to do it from underneath it'd be easier to get on this tensioner, a bolt on there, take the belt off, and then the bolt to hold the tensioner on is bolts from the back. So the tensioner bolts through the back of the block, so it goes basically in from the back. So because I would have already shown you the roof on this, getting the roof working in the previous videos or the previous section, depending on where this ends up in the video. So this car now needs to be finished, ready for sale.
so it needs an MOT because I believe it's run out or it's running out. I think it's got a few days left on it, so I need to do. It has already been serviced and it has already been checked over, but that was a couple of months ago now. So I know some of the tyres were close, so I just need to check those. I just want to give the car a quick check round, make sure everything's okay, and then the bodywork needs a good clean because it's just really bad. And there's a big patch on the bonnet there. I'm hoping it's going to mop out. There's one other thing I've noticed is the water in the expansion tank is really murky, horrible, and also the temperature gauge doesn't fully warm up. So I'm thinking to give the coolant a good flush out, drain all the coolant down, flush it out with some water, top it up with some fresh coolant. The heater all works fine, that all's absolutely fine, heats up as normal, doesn't overheat. So I don't know whether the thermostat is failed on this or whether the gauge is wrong. I have no idea. I kind of need to look into that, look into live data, look at what the actual temperature is getting to rather than relying on the gauge. So yeah, let's crack on. There's just a couple of bolts. There's one missing here. There's one there. And there's one back there. There's supposed to be one there, but it's snapped off. And that gives you a bit more room. At least these yards easy to get to. And then yeah, obviously that gives you a little bit more room down there. So I also need to check the clutch on this alternator. It should go one way but not the other. It could be something else that's making the noise. As you can see up there, I've got the spanner on there, and then literally you just pull this across to untension it, and then the belt will slip off like that. Right, so that's the belt off. It doesn't look too bad, to be honest with you. I've seen worse. It looks a bit stressed, but okay. So yeah, so the bolt, I don't think I can really show it to you, but it's down the back behind the tensioner. I did feel, yeah, there's a little hole. You can sort of see where my finger is here, wiggling about. There's a hole in here, and then deep in that hole, there's a bolt, and that's what bolts the tensioner on. So I've got to work out what size that is, get an extension in there or something or other, and then undo that. Right, so you can just see down there, I've just got a 1/4 inch ratchet and a 12mm socket. 1/4 inch goes in, the 3/8 doesn't. And you can see this is starting to move. Well, I say that, it's not, so I don't know what I'm undoing. I'm assuming I'm undoing the right bloody thing. And it's moving. It is moving. I don't know whether I'm supposed to put the pin in it. Maybe you're supposed to put the pin in it. I think that's going to come out with a pop. Right, so that's it, ladies and gentlemen. It is out. It was a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I took the 2 bolts out for the alternator, 2 30mm bolts. One up here, there's one down there. They are quite long, and they only just come out. And I just swung that out of the way. And it comes up out this direction. One tip that I would give you is take the bolt, take this off before you take it off. It just becomes a lot smaller, so I'm going to put this one on without that on it, and then I'm going to bolt that on afterwards. So I'm going to get it somewhat located and then thread the bolt back from the other side. Right, so that's it back in, the pin's still in, the tension's still on. So just got a long 1/4 inch ratchet on there. You don't get a lot of swing on it, but it'll do. Put back on. It's a bit tight. Right, so that's done up. I had to use a ratchet spanner to do that up, so it got a bit tight towards the end, so that's on. So one other thing I wanted to do was just check the alternator as well, because these can fail, because these have got a clutch on them. But if I put that in there, can't turn it that way, but I can turn it that way, and that allows the alternator to free wheel, which stops load on the alternator. A lot of modern cars have clutches on them, so if that was failed, that could make a noise as well. Right, so the tension is on, the belt's on. Literally, belt went on quite easily, and then you just have to detension the tension just slightly to take the pressure off the pin, and then just get a pair of long needle nose pliers. I used those down there just to pull the pin out, and then just slowly release the tension. We'll see whether it's made any difference. So there's still a little tinkling noise coming from somewhere, so I'm not quite sure what that's all about. But the main issue is that when you were driving it, and obviously especially with the top down, when you were reversing and you had the full lock on, which I'm assuming was down to load on the engine or the power steering. The power steering was loading up the belt, and that was causing that tensioner to flap about, which was causing that noise. So it may have solved it, it may not. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get it back up in the air, and I'm going to have a quick look over underneath it, check the tyres out, check the springs, you know, basic MOT pre-checks, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's pretty much it really. Just a quick check over the car. Obviously I'll get it back home, take it for a test drive, and see what it sounds like now if I place that tensioner.